Movies, television, books,
music, games, comics.
Pop culture is one of the things that makes life worth living.
And pop culture can be a window into your soul.
Welcome to Blew My Mind,
where Shrink Tank contributors share personal,
mind-blowing
pop culture experiences.
I'm Dr. Craig Pohlman, neurodevelopmental psychologist, author, Beatles fan, Trekkie, and Yoda disciple.
I'm Mara Teal, therapist, writer, dog lover, and Need to Breathe fan.
Today we are talking about television series finales that blew our minds. We're going to go into depth on a couple, but Mara, just briefly, what are some TV series that really stuck the landing as far as you're concerned?
Man, I really had to think about this for a while, but two kind of honorable mentions would be Friends.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Like, you have this deep connection to the characters for, 9 years, and then it ends, and I cry every time because I think about the characters saying goodbye to each other, or the actors saying goodbye to each other, and it makes me so sad.
Don't Ross and Rachel ultimately get together in that episode?
Yes, they do.
Great.
So it's amazing. And then Friday Night Lights, which is one of my top favorite shows ever. And you see Coach Taylor and Tammy Taylor walking off the field together, and it's just like this amazing.
I have to tell you that I'm ashamed to say that I have not watched that TV series.
You have to.
The movie is fantastic.
See, I've never seen the movie.
That is worth seeing.
Okay.
Obviously, you can just do that at night. But I have so many people tell me how great that series is.
So good.
I think my wife would really like it too. So we need to pick up that show.
For sure. Yeah. What about you?
Well, probably the first finale that I remember that was meaningful to me was MASH. I was a pretty big MASH fan. My father was a huge MASH fan. And it's like a 3-hour finale for a sitcom. And it was funny, but also really dramatic. And I'm not going to go into depth on what happens at the end because I can barely get through it without crying. Just you talking about it, it's so emotional. So that was great. More recently, in fact, just a matter of months ago, the show The Americans came to a conclusion. Did you watch The Americans?
I haven't. I've seen like one episode.
It is amazing. And one reason I didn't pick it for this particular discussion was I feel like I needed more time to process it, and it needs to sink in with me. But it definitely a outstanding finale to a great series.
Well, Craig, let's keep it rolling. What's your pick?
Okay, so I'm going with a show that came to a conclusion back in 2015, and that's Justified. Were you a Justified
I haven't.
fan?
I've actually never seen it.
You got to pick up this show. So it ran from 2010 to 2015 on FX. And here's how I came to the show. It was in 2011, after the first season had aired, that our friend and colleague, Dave Verhagen, host of the Shrink Tank podcast, knew that I was looking for a show. Lost had come to its conclusion, and he just knew I was looking for something. And he said, "Hey, Craig, have you seen this show, Justified?" And I said, "No, maybe I've seen some TV commercials for it." And he said, "You have to watch it. I know you're going to really like the show." And he told me the premise, which is that it's a modern day story, but a U.S. Marshal who's played by Timothy Olyphant, the character's name is Raylan Givens, gets in trouble for a shooting that is controversial, but ultimately is ruled as justified. Now he's in trouble for it, so he gets relocated from a pretty posh position at the U.S. Marshal's office in Miami back to his home state of Kentucky. In fact, his home county of Harlan.
Okay. And
he basically has to return home, and that's sort of his punishment for this shooting. And the show is about his work as a U.S. Marshal dealing with all these lowlifes in backcountry Kentucky, and it is an outstanding show. And what was really great about it is, so I asked Dave, "Now, do we need to go back and binge watch the first season before the second season, which was about to air?" And he said, No, you don't need to do that. Just start watching the second season. And we did. And my wife and I, we immediately fell in love with the show. When the second season was done, then we went back and binge watched the first season. And then we were on track with each season that came out after that. And there are several reasons why we love the show. First of all, Raylan Givens is one of the coolest characters you will ever see.
I was about to say, that's a really solid name.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is constantly wearing a hat, like a Western hat, he boots. So he's kind of a modern cowboy. He's got this swagger to him. He is so, now I say cool in terms of like, he's awesome.
Yeah.
But he's also cool as in he is a really cool customer. He's one of these individuals whose brains are just wired differently, so he is able to stay calm under extremely dire circumstances.
Yeah.
And over and over, he maintains a level head, which allows him to get ahead of the bad guys who are often, fly off the handle, crazy dudes and women. He's also extremely funny. And there are just any number of lines that you could pull. So he's just great. He's the center of the show. But the villains are fantastic. And every season, and there were 6 of them, I believe, there's one main villain. Or maybe set of villains. Like every once in a while, it's a family, a crime family from Kentucky, or like the mob is coming in from Detroit to try to run OxyContin or something.
Yeah.
And so the season is sort of railing against whatever that antagonist is. And then there are also sub-villains that come in and out, and some recur from season to season. And the villains, they're like out of a Quentin Tarantino movie. They're just off the wall. Some of them are funny. Some of them are downright scary. But the various showdowns he has with them are really, really good. And I have one to share here in just a moment. The other really neat thing about the show is it's built around the relationship between Raylan and his very good friend from childhood, Boyd Crowder. And Boyd is the one villain who stays with the show the whole season, or the whole series. And so even though you've got these other villains, he's always in and out, and he always has this rivalry with Raylan, and sometimes they're on the same side, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the final season is about Raylan getting serious and taking down his old friend.
Wow.
So the finale, it was a great final season. The show maintained a really high quality all the way to the end. It just was one of the best finales I've ever seen in a show. It managed to bring everything together and tie a bow on it in a way that was really satisfying. And there is a final shootout between Boyd and Raylan, and it just epitomizes how cool Raylan is, what an awesome villain Boyd is, and just the love-hate relationship that they have.
That's such an emotional way to end.
Oh, yeah. So here is that showdown.
Either way, I am going to put you down.
Well, Raylan, here's the problem. See, I don't have any more bullets in my gun.
Try that one.
I ain't doing it, Raylan.
Yeah, you are.
No, I ain't.
You were going to raise that gun, and we are going to end this.
So another really cool thing about Raylan is he's like a gunslinger. This is established early on in the show. He's really good with a handgun in terms of his aim, and he's really good in terms of being able to draw fast. And so what he's trying to do in this scene is get Boyd to draw on him so he can fire his gun and kill Boyd, and it would be like a justified shooting.
Fair.
Right.
That's fair, yeah.
And Boyd knows Raylan's game and refuses to pick up the gun that Raylan has kicked his way to try to engineer the shootout. So this is a very powerful scene, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, just after that, there's another scene because there's another villain that just existed in this final season named Boone. And Boone is a whack-out psycho, like total crazy dude. And he is like the evil twin of Raylan. He also is a gunslinger. He's a hitman, basically. But he cannot be controlled by whoever hires him. And he is obsessed with Raylan, obsessed with beating Raylan in a shootout, in a gun draw.
Yeah.
And so these two have a face-off on a highway. Let's take a listen to that.
I'm sorry about all that, Marshal. But I pulled up to the barn just in time to watch you two pull away. Seemed like maybe you was going to leave without saying goodbye.
No. We had every intention of finding you.
Raylan then pulls back his jacket, showing both his badge and his sidearm.
Guess I saved you the trouble then.
Long pause, Western-style showdown, then... Now, Mara, you have to appreciate that when I watched the show with my wife, it was on FX, and there were commercial breaks. Yeah. Now, we did DVR it, but still, when the two of them fired each other, it cut to commercial.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So we grabbed the remote as fast as we could because they both fall. They both fall on the highway because we wanted to find out what happened. We zoomed through, and how that all wraps up is really, really awesome. But the suspense in that moment was really, really great. So great showdown there, a lot of drama. There's yet another moment that Raylan has with Boyd where everything comes together in an emotional way, and it comes full circle, their relationship. And I don't want to play it because I want to leave one thing unspoiled for anyone who hasn't seen the show.
Yeah, I was about to say, I want to watch the show now.
Yeah, I've hooked you?
Yeah, totally.
It is one of the best final moments of a TV series, I think, in history. And the acting is fantastic. You got some work ahead of you because it's 6 seasons worth to get there, but it is totally worth it. And you're going to have a lot of fun along the way.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So Justified, series finale, blew my mind. All right, Mara, what's the show that blew your mind?
Okay, so we're taking some steps back in intensity here into the year 2000 with the series finale of Boy Meets World. So that would put me at, I think I was in the 7th grade. And so part of the reason why this blew my mind is because I was in the 7th grade, and I had just watched this show growing up, and it was ending, and I can remember debating in my head, do I go to the middle school dance or do I stay home and watch this?
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is this a sitcom that you just watch like on every week?
There was no DVR at that time, and I don't even know if we were doing the VHS recording thing. But
back in ancient times.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so for those of you who don't know, Boy Meets World is about Mr. Matthews, Corey Matthews, who he just grows up. It's just him in middle school, going into high school, into college, and the series is ending with Corey and Topanga trying to make this decision if they're gonna leave Philadelphia and move to New York City, where Topanga got an internship.
No, wait, who is that? Who's
Topanga?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Corey and Topanga, man, they're like the couple of early 2000s. So anyway,
the Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly.
Of the millennium.
Yes. So Corey and Topanga have like been together basically since middle school, and the whole series is like this love story between them. So they're trying to decide if they're going to leave or not. So in general too, I'll come back to that, but the series finale doesn't have a ton of content, but it shows all of the big moments of the show and the relationships between the different characters, and everybody gets to say goodbye. And so it's just kind of satisfying. It's like, yes, I've been in this with you too, watching the whole time, and I get to be reminded of the awesome moments. And
kind of like curtain calls for everybody.
Yeah. So it's cool, but one part in particular. So Mr. Feeney, he's the teacher who's taught them every single year, which makes zero sense.
What?
Right, makes no sense. But
was it a one-room schoolhouse?
Basically, no. But he is also the neighbor of Corey Matthews, and they always meet at the fence, and that's where Mr. Feeney gives, his sage advice. And so this clip that we're going to play is Corey coming to talk to Mr. Matthews with like his final dilemma, and we get to hear his wisdom.
Did you know that before she decided not to go to Yale, she came to my office to talk to me?
About me, right? She didn't want to go to Yale because of me.
Yes, that's what she said.
You mean it wasn't about me?
Now, when I pulled the flower out of the small pot in my living room, it resisted a little, It tried to hang on by its roots. I had to force it out.
Because you thought it would do better out here. In the world, right?
No, because I thought if I left it there, it would stop growing.
Aw.
Yeah, it's just this. Mr. Feeney is so wise, and he cares, and he talks in these metaphors, and it makes you think. And like, this is back in the day when like kids shows had more depth, I would say, and some like moral messages in there. And so, yeah, Corey just wants to know, is it okay to move or not? And Feeney's helping him figure that out. So, man, but so I watched this last night in prep, and this final scene that I want to play is everybody. So Corey, his best friend Sean, his older brother Eric, Topanga, who is now his wife, they're all in the classroom together with Mr. Feeney. They went back to the school to say goodbye to him before they move. And it's just... oh gosh, like we just have to play it. But I cry every time. It makes me tear up.
I'm getting choked up here.
Yes,
You
yes.
discuss it.
Okay, let's just do it. Let's just play it.
We wanted to know if you had anything else left to teach us.
Believe in yourselves. Dream. Try. Do good.
It just gets me every time. Just like this.
I can see why.
Yeah. He has these like deep, meaningful relationships with all of them, and they all get to say goodbye. And then he says that he loves them. God, it's just so good. Yeah.
Have you started watching Girl Meets World?
I watched like 2 episodes, and there's some similarity. I think it was canceled like after 2 seasons or something.
Not the same magic.
Not the same. No. But yeah.
That
That show will always be super special. Like, I can't wait. We have a son, Asher. I can't wait for him to grow up and watch that show one day.
With you.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Talking about the metaphors.
Yes, exactly.
So great.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's wrap up. If you're listening and have a thought about TV series finales or would like to share an idea for a show topic, please email us at feedback@shrinktank.com.
Our audio engineer and editor is Sean Beck.
Sean is the man.
Be sure to check out all the content, including articles, videos, quizzes, and surveys on our website.
shrinktank.com is the place for all of your psychology and pop culture needs. Until next time, I'm Craig Pohlman.
I'm Mara Teal.
And this is Blew My Mind.
Shrinktank.